Hello everyone. Welcome back to Candid Talks with Bloggers Alliance. I hope everyone is safe and motivated out there. Today, I, Anushka Jain and Bloggers Alliance would like to welcome Dr. Sanjay Arora.
Hi, thanks.
He is renowned tech speaker, founder and CEO of Shell's Advertising Incorporation and brand digital consultant. We are happy to have you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir, so I would like to start this interview with the first question. Sir, would you tell us something about your TED Talk?
Well, I've done two at the TEDx Nagpur. The first one was on creativity. So that's using your subconscious to come up with ideas. All of us tend to believe that, we are the doers, the huge ego thing that, I'm going to come up with ideas consciously and all that. But there's a whole the larger part of ourselves which can come up with ideas is below our conscious level. We call it the subconscious or the unconscious. Different people name it different ways. But how to use that to come up with great ideas? In fact, throughout, if you look at the scientific discoveries, the history of new ideas, most ideas have struck people rather than people going and coming up with them. They come up. Therefore, that whole eureka thing. So one is about that, and then the other one was how, again, both of them related to creativity itself, was how the whole education system in India that we undergo does everything to kill your creativity. They regimentize you to an extent that if you can repeat the answer of what the teacher has made you write in your notes or something, you get better marks than if you come up with something original and write in your own words, you tend to get less marks. So this whole system of education that we in India undergo actually kills creativity. And by the time that you get into business or professional life, you're expected to then, come up with breakthrough solutions, think out of the box, etc. Once you've already taken me through a process of 20 years of killing ideas and killing creativity and killing my own intuition, etc. And then after that, you want me to come up with ideas, that's where there is a disconnect. So it's often found that people who've been very, very mischievous in their naughty during their childhood, etc., who've not listened to teachers, who've been kind of rebels, have done better in life than those who've actually gone through the entire so-called education process, like very good students, first benchers and stuff.
So I love the second topic actually because I am also with that particular topic.
I'm sure most of us can relate with it,
Exactly.
And of course, because I was extremely naughty and kind of uncontrollable, which was why I was sent to a hostel in Gwalior, India school, because my parents just could control me. So said, "Isko bahar bhej do." So that's I am kind of enseeped into that.
Sir, so second question is, you were a part of the Happening Nagpur. So
Right.
what activities took place in that and what it majorly covered in Nagpur?
Okay, happening. I always wanted to be a journalist, but when I got through with my studies, I realized that at that point in time, there was very little money in journalism, and also that probably I also had a streak of marketing in me. So I decided, and instead of going into journalism, I went into writing, copywriting, advertising, client service management, etc., etc. So Happening Nagpur was a result, a product of that lost streak of not being in journalism. So I launched my own magazine, a monthly magazine from Nagpur, which was away from the newspapers and in which I wanted to reflect what was happening in the society in Nagpur city specifically, so that we had our own magazine to talk about things which, at that point in time when I launched that magazine, there was nothing, no concept of a page 3 and all that. They came much, much later. So it was Nagpur original. It had a kind of a split personality. It had good, well worked out stories, in-depth stories, which you call good, heavy editorial stuff, opinions, as well as it had this lighter side of doing the kind of a page 3 of Nagpur, what was going around, etc., parties, stuff. So this was much predated to what. Then of course you had major magazines and newspapers coming up with page 3 thing, which was much later. So this fulfilled that need at that point in time. and we had a good run for about 7-8 years before I realized that print was going on its way out in a way. I could see the writing on the wall. So I said, yeah, and online was never going to pay. So then we decided to give the magazine a decent burial.
So it would also be able to happen in online platforms also. Like nowadays there are many magazines and newspapers working online also. So it's a very good initiative, I think.
Yeah, it is. But there is a plethora of content today. There is more content than people can ever read, And also, you can all our online so-called media partners and people who are on online media can tell you that the revenue streams are completely starved. You can bring out a good product, but to make it financially viable is next to impossible today, even for the large players. So I can't afford to lose money every month. That quality. If you really want to bring out a product which is really good quality, then it takes a lot of money. Content creation on that scale of that quality is expensive, and if there is no payback, then I'm not a big industrial house which for my passion can throw that kind of money every month. So therefore there is a constraint that I have.
So, but since you are a founder and CEO of Shell's Advertising Incorporation, so according to you, the impact of COVID in advertising and branding, how will it be like in some time later or right now? What is the major thing that you want to say about this?
There are various facets to it. There is not a generic one-size-fits-all kind of an answer to this. Okay, there were definitely immediate impacts of it. So many businesses are completely on a standstill, like your hospitality, your aviation, your tours and travels. All those have come to a standstill. I don't see them really coming back to that original level at which they were pre-COVID in the next couple of years at least. So that's going to be the downturn. One of my very close friends is into event management. They're also completely out. Nothing to do at this point in time. So yes, some sectors have been very, very drastically hit. Print was always on its way down, even before COVID. And this just kind of catalyzed the death of print, if I may. I'm not sorry to be using the word death. But what I mean is, yes, was happening in the developed world for a very, very long time. Again, print was on its way out. So yes, this has catalyzed the process that you have seen. I'm sure you're reading a lot of reports of so many editions closing down. Even today there is a report that Hindu probably is closing down or drastically scaling down its Mumbai edition. It was a very prestigious edition that launched a few years ago. So there is going to be a radical shift towards digital, which would probably otherwise may have taken about 5 years to happen in India. So that 5 years have been catalyzed in the next few months. In fact, you will not believe every day we get calls from clients now who would never thought about their small clients making a website and going digital. We have not made so many websites in the last entire year that we've got in this 1 month to do. And also, so every client now realizes, whether it's a small B2B, B2C client, that there is no other way but to go digital now.
Exactly. So another question regarding the social media only. Like Harvard Business Review reported in its article that companies do not build brands anymore. A brand is a sum total of conversations about it on social media platforms. So what are your views about branding in the age of social media?
Either I always used to say in my workshops also, as well as to my clients, and I teach to my students also, like there are two ways branding is going to happen. One, people are in any case going to be talking about you, whether it was pre-social media days, it used to happen in kitty parties, social circles, etc., or the media writing about you. Okay, so one was that, or you could take charge and lead the conversation. So that remains true even today. All right, there is a greater amplification happening today. So more of a need that you would take charge of the conversation. So you're not going to be the only participant in the conversation, but if you can give direction to that, where that conversation heads, then you are in charge. And brands are always going to be important. You're not going to be going out and buying a commodity. You're going to be, even today, you're going to be buying. you're going to articulate a name that you want to buy for whatever service or a product, right? And you have, that is in sum total of all the impressions that you carry here. Earlier, those impressions were formed based on the word of mouth and print, etc., and whatever advertising one-way communication you used to see. Tomorrow or today, it's more about what happens in the open social space. So the companies that can lead that conversation will be able to build stronger brands and therefore leverage that. Either you do that, or otherwise it's going to be chaotic for you, and therefore your brand is not going to be under your own control. It will be a brand. Maybe it will get hurt by what people say because you were not in charge of your own brand. So it's better to understand and learn how to take charge of your brand, even in public spaces. More important today than ever before, and becoming more important as we go forward.
So lastly, the most asked question in current times, what is the future of digital marketing and digital advertising in post-corona world, or primarily India per se?
I think I gave you the answer in the earlier part of the interview itself. It is going to be more important than ever before, because we've seen time on digital platforms increasing. We've seen engagements increasing. We've seen print going down, so there is no other channel left except for, of course, your television also was. Now that is also in fact transforming, and soon it is going to be a part of your digital bouquet. It already is. In fact, today, if you ask me, less of media planners would be required or media buyers would be required than the traditional agency to buy television time, because your TVs are already Android TVs, and maybe sooner or later Apple is also going to get into it in India also. So you are going to place ads on television like you place them today on YouTube. So you will need a digital guy who's able to do it, not a traditional media planner or buyer that you saw till yesterday doing it. So digital is the route. There is no other way. You don't have a choice. You better get used to it sooner than regret later. It's as simple as that.
In the coming time, people are going to bring out some more creativity in that digital also. And I hope
absolutely, you need more, because there you will need more creativity, because till yesterday, when I was I've come through the traditional advertising agency, right? And we still do traditional advertising. So we were competing against maybe 20 other traditional agencies in town. Today, every college student is producing better content than I could at that point in time. So that monopoly over, creative, or at least the gatekeepers were there, no longer exists. That young girl there in college is able to today produce better content than most ad agencies can. So we better take them on board and learn their route, give them the space and the sun, and use that for our brands. So it's going to be more competitive, in fact, if you ask me.
So people have to be creative to be part of organizations.
Much more than ever before. Definitely, yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining with us. It was great talking with you. Very insightful information you gave us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. All the best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.